The new moon in Cancer on Friday, July 5th, has a comforting, soothing, and fertile energy. It brings attention to your home, family, comfort, and security, and urges you to cuddle up with people you love, start gardening, and redecorate your home. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you enjoy my work, please show your support by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. You can also watch another one of my videos or say thank you by buying me a coffee, a tea, croissant, cake, whatever your heart desires. I highly appreciate that. And all of that helps my channel grow, helps me bring more content your way. Your support is really, really meaningful and crucial as I build my brand and work towards creating more content, creating more joy and astrological happiness. Before we dive in, if you're curious if you're looking for personal guidance, you want to understand yourself, you have burning questions that your therapist, your friend, your mom weren't able to answer, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. I can look at your natal chart, your year to come, your relationship, and discuss all of that with you. And on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com, you can also find products that I create, specifically candles and oils. I'd like to highlight my Moon in Cancer candle. This is one of my all-time favorite candles I made. It has the comforting, chill, relaxing energy. It helps anytime I feel stressed, anxious, overloaded, overwhelmed. This candle is also beautiful. It smells like moonflower nectar. It's decorated with silver foil, which is the metal of the moon. And it is especially perfect for those born with the moon in Scorpio or Capricorn, which are the signs of fall and detriment. If your moon is in the dark house 6th, 8th, or 12th, if it's making a square, an opposition to Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, this is my choice for you. And it's the choice for anyone who could use a little bit more chill in your life, which, let's be honest, we all can, especially in July when we will consistently have planets entering Leo and opposing Pluto and Aquarius. It might be a bit rocky. So this new moon is happening at 14 degrees 23 minutes of Cancer on Friday, July 5th at 6:57 p.m. Eastern time. So adjust for your time zone, and you will feel it the most if you have planets between 11 and 17 cardinal signs, which is Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries. You're likely to experience this energy the strongest, depending on the nature of the planet, right? Like if you have a new moon right on top of your Venus, perhaps you are reviewing relationships, contracts, agreements. If it's conjoining your Mars, perhaps it's about expressing your aggression. And for that, if you really want to understand more, book a reading on my website. We can definitely talk about it in more depth. Cancer is the sign of nurturance. Cancer is the sign of emotions and initiation, right? Cancer is a cardinal sign, so it's all about new beginnings. It's the first sign of the summer. So people, I think it's underestimated how active Cancer can be if it feels passionate about something. So here you're very much leading with emotion. You're leading with feelings, right? So with this new moon, you're asking, what do you feel like birthing into the world? Could be literal birthing of a baby, right? Cancer is a very fertile sign. If you know any Cancers, any Cancer risings, any Cancer Venuses tend to be like the most kind of fertile people out there. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but that's, mostly is true. Especially Cancer moons, I'd say. It's the moon in its home sign. But it's a new moon that encourages you to get connected with your heart, to get connected with your feelings, and to go after things that make you feel happy, that make you feel supported, that make you feel aligned. So for some of you, it could be about a new home, about making your home feel comfortable, cozy, make it feel beautiful and secure. For others, it could be about a relationship. For others, it could be about parenthood. For others, it could be about a passion project, right? Like Cancers can be very hardworking. If you know, I know examples of Cancers who are very hardworking and ambitious and sort of focused on achievement. So it could also be about professional achievement. On the day of this new moon, the new moon in Cancer is also a moon in its home sign. That's why I have this candle that I made, Moon in Cancer 2 specifically. I mean, both Moon in Cancer 1, the Moon in Cancer regular one has been sold out. But like, it's the moon in its home sign. So it's potentially very emotional, but also emotionally mature. It's good at soothing and comforting oneself. It's like, it's good to have a moon in the sign of rulership, because it suggests that even if we're feeling emotional and moody, we know how to handle it. We know how to get in touch with our feelings, how to take care of ourselves. You may enjoy at the time of this new moon, you may enjoy taking a bath, or, you know, going close to a waterfall, a lake or fountain, like any type of water you have, and, you know, touching it, getting in touch with the element of water, maybe setting your intentions while looking at the water, journaling next to the lake or sea or an ocean. What I like a lot is this new moon occurs on the day of Mars-Saturn sextile. Not only it occurs on the day of Mars-Saturn sextile, but the sextile is happening at like about 19 degrees, and the new moon is at 1423. Let me just check something real fast. Yeah, the moon is at 14 degrees, Mars and Saturn are at 19 degrees, so which is the same as what I was saying. But because the new moon is in Cancer and Mars is in Taurus, Saturn is in Pisces, the new moon is also trining Saturn and sextiling Mars. So it's basically aspecting this Mars-Saturn sextile, and it's connecting to Saturn and Mars itself. And Mars and Saturn gives you the patience, the endurance, and the determination that is needed to make your goals a reality. You are not impatient, you are organized, you're determined, you're also very brave with this aspect, but not reckless kind of bravery, right? So, you know, if the goal here is to start a family with this new moon, or get married, get engaged, move in with your partner, let's say, the Mars-Saturn will be, okay, let's have a plan, let's reach out to people, let's take action, let's maybe use our hands to, I don't know, even like, you know, like this aspect can be really good for manual labor. So a different example I gave, like if you're, you know, like let's say you're pregnant, right? You're thinking of starting a family, you're pregnant. So Mars and Saturn can be the catalyst you need to build a crib with your own two hands. Maybe you're kind of committing to something and you're working with that Saturnian attention to detail and with martial courage to make it happen, to make it come true. You're better around this time at taking risks. You're better at working with like blades and metals and sharp objects. You can accomplish a lot. You can sort of take action towards starting long-term projects. It's also a really nice aspect for relationships and commitment, because if you're starting a new relationship, you're more likely to attract someone stable and steady and loving and trustworthy. If you're in an existing relationship, you're maybe talking about moving the relationship further. There is kind of like steadiness. Maybe now it's not the fastest new beginnings in a relationship. It's not the fastest development, but it's quite important. And it's like, you know, both practical but also sensitive, because Mars is ruled by Venus. Venus is also aspecting the sextile. Saturn is in the sign of exaltation of Venus. So it's like practical, but it's also quite poetic and sensitive and emotional. There's like a lot of emotional energy around this time. And so it's a lovely new moon. There is nothing negative to say, at least I don't think so, unless you consider being emotional as a negative thing, which maybe if you have heavy air placements, you might. If you're looking to understand more about this new moon, or you have any important questions, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and let's talk about the rising signs. If you are an Aries rising, there's a new moon in your 4th house of home, family, comfort, and security. and you're birthing something new in your home. This can range from changing your bed sheets or changing art, painting walls in your current place of living, to buying a home, starting a family. Maybe you're connecting with neighbors. Maybe you're going to get together with your neighbors, or with your people living in your home, and you're getting closer with them, you're connecting with them. Venus is in the mix, like pretty closely involved with this new moon too. So this could be very much about connection, about closeness, about relationships, both family relationships or relationships that are like family. On the same day, we have Mars in the second house sextiling Saturn in the 12th house, which could be a sign of like letting something go, right? We connect the house of like mental health, spirituality, release and endings with the house of money, investments, values. So ending something like with the old home, moving into a new home, ending something with the family, wrapping up some kind of, maybe like legal matter, maybe real estate matter, maybe receiving some kind of payment from it, or healing a childhood wound. I can see as a possibility here, because like the new moon in the 4th can also be the time when you feel more content, more happy, more self-reliant and serene within yourself. As always, let me know how this resonates, and if you're curious to know more, you want to ask me important questions, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. Now, if you are the lovely Taurus rising, the new moon is happening in your 3rd house, which is all about birthing new projects, new skills, new hobbies, new interests. You're exploring something, like, you get inspired, you want to learn more about something. So maybe you take a course or you take an exam to make your knowledge official. Maybe, the 3rd house also represents kind of logistical matters. So taking an exam or getting paperwork to make your business official is also quite likely here. 3rd house represents siblings and neighbors and communities. So there might also be new beginnings in the life of a sibling. Maybe a sibling is getting pregnant, or a sibling is moving in with you. Because it's the house of neighbors, maybe you're getting closer with a neighbor, or you are getting more involved with your community. The new moon in the moon in the 3rd house in general, right, like makes you very much friendly and sort of like friendly mailman type. You connect with everyone, you befriend everyone. So somehow there's like new beginnings in your everyday life, which could very much involve you opening up to what is around you, right? Like maybe you have a path that you normally stick to, from subway train to your job, from subway train to your home, and you just do that. But the new moon in Cancer in the 3rd house could be the time to open yourself up to what else is out there, to step outside of that comfort zone and maybe like meet someone and go exploring, go create, like also like I think create sort of comfortable environments for yourself. But it definitely has like a very strong self-expression, knowledge-oriented, community-oriented energy. On the same day, we have Mars in your 1st house sextiling Saturn in the 11th. So you're building community, you're building community, you're building new relationships, you're getting closer with your existing relationships or existing friends potentially, and you're giving back. I can also see this as like, how can my knowledge and my interests and my passions benefit other people? How can they help other people, right? There is an actress I did a reading for once, and she was talking about creating rehearsal spaces for other actors, because there isn't enough space for actors to practice and work on their craft. So this would be a great example of how to take your voice, your knowledge, your interests, and turn them into something that sustains and feeds and nurtures others. As always, let me know how this resonates, and if you have more questions, you have bigger questions, you want to know what's coming up for you, you want me to look at your relationship or talk about your natal chart, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. If you are a Gemini rising, there's a new moon in your 2nd house, the house of monies and values. So in terms of money, right? New moon in the second house could represent you manifesting. It's a very juicy moon. It's really good at manifesting. So setting intentions surrounding financial stability, financial abundance, lovely. Maybe you're setting in motion a new project. Maybe you're working on making money from something, and you're you're tapping into your desires, and you're starting a YouTube channel hoping it will be a passive stream of income. Maybe you're starting to teach yoga hoping that this would be like a side source of income. Maybe you're getting a raise, or you're asking for a raise. Second house is also the place of values and sort of things that you consider worthy your time. So the new moon here might also suggest that you're connecting with your true desires, and you're tapping into your emotional kind of like goals, and maybe rethinking what you invest into, what you spend your time on. Literal, opportunities to spend more, opportunities to make a big purchase, opportunities to invest into a passion project are all possibilities here, as well as work on building your confidence that you can achieve what you want to achieve, that you can reach the heights that you want to reach, that it's possible to make money while not killing yourself at a corporate job, are all the energies here. As Mars in your 12th house sextile Saturn in the 10th, and you're very much starting to prioritize, I think, your well-being, your spirituality, your mental health, and choosing, like, also doing work that is more creative, that is more joyful, that is maybe less attached to a place, and a little bit more freelance and freeing. Let me know how this resonates, and if you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. Now, if you are the beautiful Cancer rising, this is your moon. It's happening in your first house, and it's all about making a new you. Who do you want to be? A Cancer rising. The Cancer rising that's watching this right now. First house answers the question of who am I? And with this new moon, you have the courage, you have the power, you have the ability to manifest a different version of yourself. And at the same time, we also have Mars in the 11th, sextiling Saturn in the 9th, helping you be strategic and discerning, giving you the resources of other people, giving you connections, giving you patience that you need to make your vision a reality. So the new moon in the first can be about your physical body, right? It could be about your hair. Maybe you're chopping your hair, maybe you're coloring it red, and you've always been blonde and people are shocked, but you're like, this is who I am now. Maybe you're starting a new workout routine, or a new diet, or a new exercise, which is the same as workout routine, but sort of new way of doing your everyday life. New wardrobe, new style, right? You may be changing your careers, you're maybe going back to school, you're maybe moving, because Mars in the 11th sextiling Saturn in the 9th very much brings in topics of expanding your life through education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters. There's a lot of possibilities, there's a lot of opportunities to reinvent yourself. With like the legal matters, it can also be maybe you're changing your name, right? Maybe you just got married and you were Jones and now you become Sparks. I think that's I think there is someone with the last name Sparks, like an author maybe. I don't know if it's a real name. But it's all about like you and envisioning who you are, and I think taking small but like tangible steps, planning it, and having the courage to believe in yourself, having the courage to take a risk and present the world with a new version of you. Please let me know what is it you're working on, Cancer risings. What is it you're trying to manifest? And if you want to know more, you want me to look at your year to come, your relationship, or your natal chart, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. If you are the lovely Leo rising, there's a new moon in your 12th house. The new moon in the 12th house is all about your private life. It's about your blind spots and things that are self-defeating, But it's also about your blind spots and things that need more attention, that need more integration within you. So it's likely to be a period when you're feeling a little bit more reserved and withdrawn. You might enjoy taking a step back and maybe going to the ocean, going to the sea, and just like relaxing a little bit. It could be the time when you're becoming more self-aware, right? 12th house, the new moon will highlight everything hidden, everything that is holding you back, every self-defeating tendency, every bad habit, like scrolling on your phone, going to bed late, procrastinating, choosing partying over writing, or whatever it is. You know, partying is great, but you want to make sure that you're like balancing your life. So becoming more aware, experiencing breakthroughs in terms of therapy. On the same day, we have Mars in your 10th house of career sextiling Saturn in the 8th house of dependencies, debts, and loans and agreements with other people. So the healing you're doing can be connected with bad habits surrounding career, or maybe a tendency to rely on other people, or a tendency to be a little bit like free in a way that's destructive to you financially. Maybe this new moon is like kind of highlighting better financial hygiene that you need to implement, right? On the positive, the new moon in the 12th can also be a sign that you're birthing something in private, that you're birthing a new creative project, a new spiritual, I don't know if I think it's a bike. Yeah. I was like, is it a weird construction sound? Because there's so many of them all the time. The other day they woke me up at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. So this beautiful window is beautiful, but hella loud sometimes. So positive, right? Birthing something in private, a new project, a new creative initiative, a new spiritual hobby that you have. Maybe you realize that yoga is calling your attention. Maybe you're realizing that you need therapy. Maybe you're realizing that you want to write and you have this new idea, but you don't want to tell anyone. So like working on things in private and nurturing your passions and integrating your healing work in a creative project, and integrating kind of, your self-understanding and turning it into something tangible, something you can birth and present into the world, is also quite likely here. Please let me know how this resonates, and if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Check out all the options and the durations right there. If you are a Virgo rising, there's a new moon in your 11th house at the same time as Mars in the 9th, sextile Saturn in the 7th. So this reads to me as supportive relationships and partnerships. New beginnings in your network. Somehow you are investing a lot of energy into building connections, right? Those could be mentors, teachers. Those could be people who have access to the information you need, the knowledge you need, the experience you need. But they can also be your friends. It could be the time when you are feeling very aligned with people around you, and you want to have more supportive, emotional, nurturing relationships. Maybe you're starting to see your friends more often. Maybe you're going to yoga classes together, or starting a book club, or you're starting to volunteer, both with your friends or alone. The new moon in the 11th is very much a desire to take care of more than one person. Maybe you're taking on a professional project that puts you in touch with a community of kids with special needs, right? Or you are speaking at a conference and you're highlighting some kind of important social issue. So both building your network, but also connecting with people, sharing important insights is quite important here. There might be opportunities that are coming through people in your network, opportunities that involve education, that involve travel, that involve writing, publishing, even opportunities to start a significant partnership that is creative is quite likely, because we have that Mars in the 9th, sextile Saturn in the 7th aspecting this moon. Maybe it's a contract you're signing to I don't know, to write a couple of books with a publishing house. That is quite lovely here. Like I said, Mars in the 9th sextile Saturn in the 7th, connecting the house of growth, expansion, travel, education with the house of business and personal relationships and partnerships. So the new moon in the 11th, it can also even be like about a dream that you are envisioning, and maybe the dream is not just about giving back, but maybe there's an element of romance here with Saturn in the 7th. But I do see this for sure as like new partnerships, new connections, new relationships that are supportive, nurturing, and protective, and also like life affirming. Please let me know how this resonates. If you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, Anastasia.astrology.com. If you are the beautiful Libra rising, there's a new moon in your 10th house on the same day as Mars in the 8th, sextile Saturn in the 6th. So it feels, this one is all about your public life and your reputation and your image in the outside world. It heralds new beginnings. It heralds change to how the world sees you, right? And it is very likely to be about work because of that Saturn in the 6th, Mars in the 8th. So maybe some kind of partnership, some type of professional. You're investing into something that will take time, that will maybe cost you or will be hard but rewarding. But it could also be with a new moon in Cancer. It could be about changing the image to a more like soft and nurturing and motherly or family oriented image. So for some of you, maybe it's a change in your public status to be, maybe you're becoming a mother, maybe you're becoming, even like honestly, not just being a mother like in a literal sense, but taking on a role of a mentor, a teacher, like maybe you're volunteering, maybe you're giving back to the community somehow, maybe you're mentoring young girls, and so you're like a mother by proxy, right? But also new beginnings, new ideas, new collaborations. Oh, it's funny because I'm about to start a collaboration, more on that on my Instagram in a little bit. But I've been, not just one, there's like a couple ones that are in the talks right now. And I'm a Libra rising, so I'm not just talking with myself out of no reason. But if you're new here, I'm also a Libra rising. So, so very kind of like literal new job, promotion, new project, but it could also be a little bit more like a change in terms of going towards things that are more emotionally aligned with you, a change that involves maybe partnerships, sponsorships, working with other people, and committing to work that, like I said, once again, hard, but also is rewarding. Please let me know how this resonates. If you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, Anastasia.astrology.com. Now, if you are the beautiful Scorpio rising, there's a new moon in your 9th house with Mars in the 7th, sextiling Saturn in the 5th. So the new moon in Cancer in the 9th house is about growth and expansion and possibly learning new things, right? Because it's Cancer, I can't help myself but think about family, about parenthood, about nurturance, about maybe like birthing a creative project, something you're like very passionate about. So the new moon in the 9th can suggest that you're learning about coding because you're building a website for your passion project, right? Or it could be you're taking classes about birthing because you're pregnant, right? Because of that whole like heavy 7th, 5th house connection. Taking classes about anything that brings you joy because you're focused on enjoying life to the fullest, because you're interested in exploring passions and exploring your interests. So taking classes, studying, becoming a teacher, starting a new course, if you were already a teacher, maybe you're starting to teach a different class, you're exploring a different topic. Starting to write, I can see as a possibility here, even like publishing your work, traveling with your partner, going on a trip together, going on to like a new adventure with your significant other. Maybe you're moving, or maybe you're moving in together as well, right? Once again, the sextile to Mars and a trine to Saturn in the 5th house. You're growing, but you're not just growing, not just traveling and learning, but you're doing so so that you can be a better parent, a better partner, a better business owner. And so what do you need to learn? What do you need to explore in order to make that happen? Please share down below. And if you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Also, get my Moon in Cancer candle. It's the best. I mean it. I know I'm being a bit cartoonish, but it is pretty great. It's really great. If you are a Sagittarius rising, the new moon in the 8th house shines light on your place of debts, taxes, loans, partners' money, dependencies, karmic debts, so to speak. And Mars in the 6th house sextiles Saturn in the 4th at the same time. So off the bat, with all three of these transits, is something changing in your living situation? Are you paying off a mortgage? Are you selling your home? Are you getting an inheritance or something? The new moon in the 8th suggests a change in terms of your resources that come from other people. So, you know, if you're let's say, maybe you've been maybe your child has been like really young and you've been getting child support, and now they hit adulthood. I don't know quite how it works, but maybe the child support wraps up, and or maybe you get an inheritance, or maybe you get a mortgage, or maybe you sell your house and you receive a big payout. So something is transforming. There might also be new beginnings in terms of starting a joint bank account with your significant other, starting a partnership, receiving a loan, receiving some kind of support, or releasing a source of support because you're choosing to be more independent. You're choosing to be more self-reliant, right? With the at the same time as we have Mars in the 6th sextiling Saturn in the 4th, it feels like it's about real estate and family, but it can also be about work. Could also be about maybe changes that are happening where you start to work from home, or you start to, you know, maybe like you start like a home office, or you even like build a gym in your house, and that's maybe why you need a loan or some kind of, or even like maybe you're getting a loan to help family. There's just a lot of interesting ways these energy of like hard work, finances, and home and family can mingle together. Another way this could manifest is like the hard labor of healing, the hard labor of overcoming fears and overcoming maybe some kind of relationship dynamic that hasn't been healthy, where you're trying to nurture yourself a little bit more and you're prioritizing your well-being a little bit more, is quite likely here. Please share how this resonates, and if you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. For the beautiful Capricorn risings, this new moon is all about relationships and partnerships and contracts and agreements, and as always, new moons are about new beginnings. So something is changing in your romantic life, right? It could be very literal, as a new person is coming into your life. Maybe right now, maybe within the next 6 months, because new moons sometimes take time to develop. Maybe you are starting a new partnership and you're signing a new contract, some kind of new exciting relationship with the other person. But it's all about opportunities to commit. And it's all about opportunities to rethink what you want and what you desire and what is joyful to you. Because on the same day of this new moon, we have Mars in the fifth house, in your 5th house, sextiling Saturn in the 3rd. So I feel like there's a need to say it, to verbalize what is it that you want. So if we're talking about the new moon in the 7th in terms of a contract and kind of like business partnership, maybe you are negotiating, right? And you're having some kind of important conversation about, this is what I want, this is what you want, let's figure out the logistics. If it's romantic, maybe there is a way to talk about like future and children, and the children come from Mars being in the 5th house, but there is potentially an opportunity to discuss how you see things going and what is joyful, what is important to you. The Mars in the 5th house sextiling Saturn in the 3rd could also be very sexual. It could be a sign that you are reviewing your relationship to love, right? And with the new moon in the 7th, Mars in the 5th, maybe you're choosing to casually date for a little bit. Maybe you're opening yourself up to a brand new way of dating, because you're like, well, I haven't explored this before. It doesn't hurt to try. It doesn't hurt to put myself out there. So with like sextile to Saturn in the 3rd, Mars in the 5th, new moon in the 7th, it's all very much like get out there and find new partnership, new relationships, explore your interests, right? Which could be both very much creative and business partnership. It could also be, for some of you, it could be a sign of starting a partnership with a neighbor or a sibling or someone who's a sibling like, maybe someone in your family, you're starting a partnership with them. But it could also be like going out with a neighbor, dating someone, casually dating. Like a lot of new possibilities are here. Please share what you feel like it is for you. And as always, if you're curious for more, you have burning questions for me, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. Now, if you are the lovely Aquarius rising, there's a new moon in your 6th house. So new beginnings in the area of work, health, service, and pets. Let's not forget the pets. But 6th house represents problem solving. It represents everyday life. It represents handling duties and responsibilities. So with the new moon here, you're maybe looking for a way to enjoy things a little bit more. You're maybe trying to figure out how to go grocery shopping, but maybe enjoy it more. Maybe you buy ice cream on the way, or you check out a bar that you like or something. So there's like opportunities to start doing work differently and your routines differently. The new moon in the 6th can also encourage you to improve your work situation in whichever way possible. Maybe you're quitting, maybe you're asking for a bigger office or getting a parking space. Could also be about improving your health, your diet, your exercise routine. The 6th house is the place where we commit to something and we like really feel passionate, but also dedicated, and we invest a lot of energy into. So the new moon here can also suggest that there is something that you're feeling excited about. On the same day, we have Mars in the 4th sextiling Saturn in the 2nd, which brings in topics of finances, values, home, family. And so maybe what you're committed to is building a pool in your backyard, or you're committed to work, kind of like, I don't know, connecting with your family. Maybe you're starting to work really hard on building a relationship with your family. Maybe you're investing into a new home, a new property, and you're committing to figuring that out. So you're like ready to problem solve, especially like I said, when it comes to finances, resources, debts, even becoming like really serious in terms of paying off debts is a possibility. And yeah, family, home, if I'm repeating myself. Isn't it cool that now you can see birds passing me by? If you're watching, they just passed me by. So it's beautiful. And you know, I mentioned pets with this new moon too, and so the new moon in the 6th could be all about getting a pet, getting an insurance for your pet, getting a second pet, like, or a pet going through some kind of new period. Maybe that's what you're also working on. Maybe you're creating some kind of space for a pet or a child, if you're waiting for a child to come into your life soon. But also, like, I feel like with the moon in the 6th, it's like it's about your well-being, it's about exercise, it's about commitment to bettering yourself and bettering your life. Please let me know how this resonates, and if you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. Last but not least, if you are the lovely Pisces rising, this is the most fertile new moon ever. So I know there will be people who will say, I'm not looking to get pregnant, I'm single, but let's start with those who are looking to get pregnant. This is the time. It's the moon in her home sign. There is Mars in the 3rd, sextiling Saturn in the 1st. Taking responsibility for a child, becoming pregnant is very likely here. Giving birth is also likely, but pregnancy could be a lot more indirect, right? You might get inspired. Maybe you start learning French, or you discover classical dancing, or you discover tap dancing, and you're like, oh my god, this brings me so much joy. 5th house is very unique. very unique, honestly. Like, you know, we've had eclipses in the 5th house for Sagittarius risings, and for some it was about getting bigger boobs, for others it was about becoming pregnant, for others it was about like moving. So it's very much the place of joy. And so with the new moon in the 5th house and Mars in the 3rd sextiling Saturn in the 1st, like, you've been busy, you've been, you know, dealing with health matters, feeling the heaviness of Saturn, feeling the responsibilities, feeling like there's a heavy weight on your shoulders. So the new moon in the 5th says, like, yeah, but what can you do to still enjoy life? What makes you happy? Maybe it's cooking with your kid, baking. Maybe it's about dancing. Maybe it's about dating. This is could also be quite romantic. 5th house is the place of sex and pleasure. So going on a date, putting yourself out there, but doing things that are fun and enjoyable and relaxing. Just knowing that, you know, the responsibilities will always be there, but it's okay for you to set them aside sometimes, to take a break, to enjoy life, to make yourself happy. Let me know how this resonates. Have you been discovering any new interests? If you are a Pisces rising, Mars is in your 3rd house. Maybe you're starting a business, maybe you're exploring new skills, new sort of relationships, potentially. I'd love to know. And as always, if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I also highly recommend for you guys my Moon in Cancer candle. It falls in your 5th house. It can help you relax, not just with the new moon energy, but whenever you want, just light it up. And this is it. Thank you for listening. We are in July. Can you imagine? I am busy working on my 2025 planner. Any ideas you have for new videos, please share them down below. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.